Welcome to the King of the Court podcast with Ben Riggs and Ben Staten.
Welcome to the King of the Court podcast. I'm Ben Riggs. This is Ben Staten.
Yo.
I want to tell everybody thank you for subscribing to our podcast, wherever you get your podcast, for subscribing to us on YouTube, for liking, for sharing our content. We've seen a big bump in viewership on YouTube, and we're very appreciative of it. So thank you for that. Please continue to engage with our videos and share them with your friends and family. Text them to your friends and family. Share them on your social media feeds. It's great.
We have a dedicated viewership now, people that comment on every video. It's been amazing. Thanks, y'all.
Just jump right into it. We got a lot to cover on this show. I am happy to admit, happy is doing a lot of work in that sentence. I'm willing to admit OKC is playing great basketball. They look great. Wednesday, we will be able to decide in real time who looks the best in the NBA right now. However, they are not on a 15-game winning streak. And there is nothing that you can do to convince me otherwise.
No, the funniest outcome of this possible would be if they actually ended up breaking the 30-game winning streak the Lakers had in the 70s and hold the record, and then the NBA has to have a little asterisk saying they lost, halfway through this,
Yeah, I mean, well, but what I'm saying to Adam Silver in that moment is that he can take his Kremlin-style propaganda machine and shove it up his ass, because I watched the game in Las Vegas. OKC did not win it. And so unless they extend that 30-something games beyond Las Vegas, OKC didn't break any record. They didn't do anything. Oh, no, well, I mean, they did something. They won a lot of games, but they did not break any record.
No. I think everyone agrees with you. It's just very funny
except for Adam Silver.
Except for Adam Silver and the OKC Thunder local news reporters who conveniently have never told all this.
I'm going to give you the platform and let you sort of take over from here and tell us about this OKC Boston showdown.
It was in OKC, and it's a tale of two halves. It is a situation where in the first half, both teams came out ready to fight. They both came out and said that this was an important game with intensity from the get-go. And Boston's game plan in the first half worked to perfection. They played inside out. They posted up Porzingis. They attacked the boards. They were physical. They tried, they hunted mismatches on Shea specifically, trying to get him, shoving him under the rim. Brown got at least 2 or 3 and ones by just shoving Shea under the hoop and getting and forcing the foul him on a layup. Shea had 2 early fouls. They attacked well. They protected the ball. They went into halftime with a 10-point lead. Should have been 15 basically, but they got an unlucky bounce on a rebound that OKC was able to translate into a 3-pointer to close the gap. It was one of the best halves of basketball you're going to watch all year. Aaron Wiggins kept the Thunder in the game at that point there. And in the second half, OKC did their patented come out with more intensity. And Boston does the Boston thing where they short-circuited. And they reverted to trying to take as many 3-pointers as possible. And they went 3 for 24 from 3 in the second half. They scored 27 points in the second half. They scored 65 in the first half. They scored 15 points in the third quarter and 12 in the fourth. They made 8 field goals in the second half. This was one of the worst basketball halves you will ever watch. Joe Mazzulla after the game was basically doing that thing where he does weird sayings, things along the lines of, you can tell the heart of a humpback whale by how many times he gets harpooned. It's what does that mean? No one knows. The coaching on the Celtics is a major problem. It is a major, major problem. They won the title last year, and people were like, "Oh, well, this is a justification. This is, this shows that his strategy of just shooting threes makes sense." They didn't win the title last year because of 3-pointers. Let me just read you 5 numbers: 107, 105, 106, 85, 106. That is the number of points they scored in every game in the finals. That is a lower level of that is fewer points than the average point scored in an NBA game this season. They won last year because they have a really, really good defense. They had a really good defense this game. They held the OKC Thunder to 105 points. The problem with this offense is that when they don't make their 3-pointers, it looks like there's like a really dumb computer, which is just running a program that's not working over and over again and not making the adjustments. It looks ridiculous. And you saw it in the second half. They were just taking open threes. They were 1 for 13 on threes in the third quarter. The whole 10-point lead evaporated. And at the end of the quarter, they got the ball to Porzingis in the post with 5 seconds left, and he just makes a jump shot. And they didn't go back to that again for the rest of the game. Mazzulla is. I question how good a coach he is. I seriously question how good a coach he is.
I don't
question whether he has. Yeah, like he had a really easy run until the finals.
Yes,
where I give him credit. He won against a good Mavericks team, but he had a really easy run, and the Celtics did not have to make any major adjustments during that finals run. They were able to win on the strength of their defense alone.
I agree with you completely about that. I think
this is not the same year. This is a different year. We got better teams. We got a lot better teams. We got a lot more stiffer competition. We got teams that now know what the Celtics are trying to do, that have game planned and built themselves to defeat them. I question whether he is a coach who is savvy enough.
My thing with the Celtics from the beginning of the season has been, I think that they're the best team in the NBA. However, I think that a lot of people have put them, and quite frankly, a lot of places, including on this podcast, after that first game or few games they had this year, had them in a category that's completely of their own. I actually think there are a few teams in the NBA, when fully healthy, that can compete with the Celtics. My thing is this, is that I agree with you completely that the weakest link with the Celtics is Joe Mazzulla.
Mm-hmm.
I believe that last year, through the Eastern Conference playoffs, they had, I'm not going to say it was the easiest. It's the easiest I can remember in terms of a path through to the finals. And I think that he believes that you just keep shooting the threes because over time you're going to land on your average. But my thing is this, and I think he believes that you will land on your average and that your defense will keep the game close and you just shoot through the slump and you'll win that way. And he thinks that you may lose a game in a playoff series or something like that. But over the course of 7 games, like I could easily see Joe Mazzulla, kind of like in the vein of your humpback whale comment earlier. Like I could easily see Joe Mazzulla answering a question about, are you worried about your team being able to win critical playoff series if you don't, adjust when they're not shooting well and quit shooting as many threes and start attacking the rim more? And he would respond something to the effect of, just look the reporter who asked the question like right into their eyes, and then very stoically say something like, if you sneak up on a tiger once, you may get its tail. But if you try it 7 times, death will find you. Like, and in his mind, what that means is, over the course of 7 games, we're going to shoot well enough in 4 of them to win those games, and nobody can beat us when we're doing that. I do not agree with that. And the reason I don't is because of what you said earlier. You're too predictable. If I know you're not going to deviate from that strategy, I'm going to guard the 3-point line like my life depends on it.
Yeah.
Like if you think back to the Mavericks series last year, one of the things I would say is you've got a guy hanging out around the rim, leaving someone open on the 3-point line because you think you need to protect it. I understand why you think you need to protect it. It would make sense that you would think you need to protect it. What you don't understand is you're going up against a coach who isn't necessarily relying on sense. He's relying on numbers that work over the course of a lot of games. But like, for example, today, It's about winning the game today.
Yes.
And when you're shooting as poorly as they were from three, you've got to make adjustments to win today's game and not trust that you're going to revert back to, or revert, in this case, up to the average.
No excuse. There's no excuse for this. They went 9 for 46 from three.
9 for 46. That's insane.
That's insane. You should never be 9 for 46. Not because you're not allowed to be cold shooting. It's that if you're shooting that poorly, you should not take 46 3-pointers. It is that simple.
100%.
If you're shooting 9 for 46 from three, more than half of your shots should not be 3-pointers. I question him because he makes no adjustments. And he didn't have to make adjustments. He's like, guys, let's go back to what we were doing before because that was working.
Yeah. It's not an adjustment, it's a remembrance. Those are two different things. It's memory, not like creativity and adjusting. Now, look, to me, this is the most damning part of it. I didn't watch the game, but I'm assuming based on what you're telling me that a significant part of the reason why Boston shot poorly from three is that OKC was aggressively contesting the shots from three.
Yeah.
And what that tells me when you have players like Derek White, Jaylen Brown, Drew Holiday, and Jason Tatum, I'll give you Porzingis. If Porzingis is out there on the 3-point line and the shot's being aggressively contested, the best move for him is to probably pass it and put the ball in the hands of a ball handler or find an open shooter. But when you're talking about Derek White, Jaylen Brown, Jason Tatum, and Drew Holiday, if you're going to aggressively contest perimeter shots, those guys are more than capable of attacking those contests and getting to the rim.
There's no excuse, again, as I said, for how bad this coaching job was.
To be clear too, one of the things I think is obvious when you watch OKC play is what I said earlier about them in Cleveland show up ready to go like it's a playoff game every game they play. One of the things I think is less clear is that in advance of that game, Mark Daigneault and the coaching staff also shows up ready to play. They have a very sound game plan in place.
He is one of the best coaches in the league. He flat out. Yeah.
And but here's a point that I'll make about before I do this. Let me ask you: Are you done? Are you done on Boston, or do you have more you want to? Do you want to officially burn Joe Mazzulla at the stake, or do you want? Because I do want to mention a few things about OKC. I know you had more feelings on Boston than I did.
I just want to say, as someone who's defended Boston consistently for the last 3 years, I have been strongly in their corner, and I believe that the 3-point this year has gotten out of hand with 3-point shooting, but I believe that it was a right strategy. I'm a strong believer in Tatum. I believe that team made sense. I believe that they got an insane amount of flack for a team that continuously makes the Eastern Conference Finals every year and has made it to the finals twice in 4 years and won it once. You got to have some ability to change your strategy when it's not working. And I question whether this team, when the competition is higher, they have more talent, in my opinion, than any team in the league. They can win. They just won a title on talent alone because it wasn't like their players on offense were playing that great last postseason. In fact, it was kind of a rocky road the entire time. But as I mentioned, they won all those. They won the finals without scoring 110 points once.
Oh, they're the best defensive team in the NBA.
This is a flashing red siren showing you guys need to be better than last year to win the title. You guys need to be able to make more adjustments than you did last year to win the title. And they failed this test. It is an early test. It does not matter in the grand scheme of things, but they failed this test.